Hi, I'm here with Martin Darlow, ECB board member, chair of the Anti-Corruption Committee and vice chair of the Recreational Assembly. Martin, how are you doing?
Very good, Callum. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, great to have you with us. And just before we move on to our topic of the day, just tell us a little bit about your childhood in cricket and sort of your experiences in cricket today.
Well, I've played cricket since for as long as I can remember, and represented my county, Bedfordshire, because there was no county age group teams in my day. So back in 1978, I represented Bedfordshire schools. As I recall, I was the only player from a non-independent school who played in that team. So that was my background. And then I played cricket all the way through for local clubs at Potton and Bedford and Leighton Buzzard. And then it coincided with my career in the police service, where I served for 32 years. I still played cricket, but not to the level I'd wanted because the job got in the way. Reignited my passion for club cricket again when my son turned out to be quite a talented young cricketer who now plays for Bedfordshire, and followed him. I'm now the chairman of a local cricket club in Bedfordshire called Salville Park. I sit on a number of EC committees, aside from the two that you've just said, and I'm a liaison director for some first-class counties. So that's my journey. I became an ECB director back in 2016. I was elected by the recreational game. And so I'm the second longest serving director now on the ECB board, and loving it and really enjoying cricket despite the challenges over the last 18 months.
No, fantastic, and what a rap sheet that is, really, isn't it? What an accolade to have so many different organisations wanting to be a part of them, and also volunteering yourself as well. So it's not just it's a great achievement, Martin. And so, moving, I guess, on to the topic of today, which is around anti-corruption. I think a lot of people feel that it sort of happens in the background, it's there, but they're probably not quite as visibly aware of how much effort is going into that department, as we're going to hopefully highlight today. Just before we start that, could you explain a little bit around your experience in anti-corruption? I mean, you've alluded, you were in the police force, and how you came about to I guess understanding, it's the obligation of not having a corrupt game.
Yeah, well, corruption is corruption in whatever field of work you're involved in. As it happens, for a period, I was the head of professional standards across three police forces: Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire, and Huntingdonshire and Hertfordshire. And during that time, I headed up the anti-corruption unit. And so I know a good deal about anti-corruption, about corruptors, and the risks to individuals and associated with corruption. So it was a natural fit when I became an ECB director for me to chair the anti-corruption committee. And in fact, I took over that committee from another senior police officer who retired from the board. So corruption in cricket is a big topic, but it's unseen and unheard until such time as something big happens. There's always something going on in the background to make sure that we keep the game safe and secure, safe from corruptors and with integrity. So when you and I, Callum, watch a game of cricket, we expect the professionals to be doing their best for their team and for the game of cricket. We don't expect somebody to be throwing a game or taking some form of action to line their own pocket. And that's what we're about. That's what we're trying to stop. And we are stopping because I would say, certainly in this country, that the game of cricket at professional level has integrity, and it is people doing the best and not falling for any form of corruption. And we've got a lot of things in place that actually stop that happening, number one, but also to make sure the players are aware of what corruption is and the pitfalls.
Yeah, and just on that, I mean, if you were to sort of, is it just the players? I mean, you mentioned the players there, but surely there's a wider network of people that need to be aware of what's going on and currently are. I mean, I know I've actually signed 2 anti-corruption forms this year, one for work and one for playing. So, I mean, there's clearly a lot of preventative strategies in place.
Yeah, well, that's born out of cricket being more available to the global audience. So, for instance, I know that you've played for Bedfordshire. Those games will be live streamed. And in fact, some games you play in the Northants Premier League may be live streamed. That streaming is available globally. And so there may be betting organisations, syndicates, organised crime groups who will be trying to make money out of those games because there is a delay on the streaming, so people can get ahead with the spot fixing. It may be that some players are urged to carry out some form of act which could result in a lot of money passing hands to an organised crime group, so it's illegal gambling. So the game of cricket is open to a wider audience than ever before, and I'm really pleased to hear that at the top end of the recreational game, which is what you've played in terms of national counties cricket, is a pinnacle of the amateur of the game, that you've signed those documents, and those documents clearly outline the do's and don'ts for you as a player. So the reach is wide and getting wider because it needs to. We need to make sure that players are aware. So our stance is one of education, awareness, and guidance to all players engaged in cricket.
No, I like that. I like that. And so just on that theme, I suppose, are you able to share with us maybe a scenario or a typical scenario that you found yourself in and had learnings from for players out there?
Well, I won't go into names, but people might know who I'm talking about. But high-profile games where players are asked to carry out a certain act for a significant reward, significant to the player, but actually nothing in comparison for the money made by corruptors. And the penalties for that have been imprisonment, and loss of livelihood for short-term gain of, it may be, a 5-figure sum, but actually that's peanuts when you look at a whole cricketer's career and the damage it does to their own reputation and the reputation of the game. So if you're asking a player to throw a game, then there's not many players who have the ability to throw a whole game. That's a big ask. You're talking about somebody who's going to be an all-rounder who can influence a game. Spot fixing is more of a problem where you're asking a particular bowler to bowl a no ball or a wide on a certain delivery, or a batter to actually not score any runs for a certain period is a spot fixing issue. But we have got systems in place that will track that and pick that up if that happens, as well as other opportunities for players to report any illegal activity or suspected illegal activity by some confidential lines. And you'll be aware, Callum, is that before the start of any professional season, the anti-corruption team go to every first-class county for both women's cricket, men's cricket, international cricket, and deliver a briefing on anti-corruption and the pitfalls, and go through some scenarios so that players can make the right choices. And I'm pleased to say, touch wood, that we've been successful. The relationship we have with the players is one of support and, again, education, awareness, and guidance, rather than trying to catch people out. We are not trying to catch people out. If we're catching people out, then we will have failed as a game, and the game will be damaged because of a corruption issue within this country.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big takeaway from that for me is around, the message is loud and clear. Don't panic. Think about what you've been instructed to do, and if you haven't, there's plenty of resource to instruct you. You haven't done anything wrong, but ultimately you'll be judged on your actions you take after that moment. Is that correct, Martin?
That is correct, and there is an obligation to report if you have some information which may assist an anti-corruption investigation. So there is a requirement to report, but nevertheless, if a player finds himself subject to some form of investigation or inquiry, my message will be to support that inquiry, because that would assist them in the longer term. But also, there's lots of advice and guidance out there from the Professional Cricketers Association, who are signed up to what we're trying to achieve and are fully behind it. I'm pleased to say, and we work very closely with the PCA. Look, our aim is not to catch anybody. Our aim is to prevent everything.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. We want to, if somebody gets approached by, a friend or a family member or a relative or somebody they know or they went to school with, offering them a big pot of money to carry out an act, report it. Because if you don't report it, then and you do something, it's a slippery slope then. So, but players get that message every year. And I'm pleased to say players listen. The players have been fantastic. They've had a really difficult gig over the last 18 months, confined to barracks, so to speak, and it's not been easy. And the life of a professional cricketer is not easy. Training, travelling, overnight stops, games back to back. It's full on. It's full on, and there's a lot of pressure on them to perform as well. So we understand that, and the players have been really good in accepting, listening to, and complying with the anti-corruption message.
No, I like that. That's really good. I mean, I suppose just touching on briefly just before we finish the segment, what do you see for the future of anti-corruption, especially with the advancements in sort of social media platforms, technology? Accessing these sort of high-profile people has probably never been easier, especially directly. I mean, how do you see the future of anti-corruption, I suppose, and the policies around it?
Well, we can't stop people communicating, and that's the issue. And it's making sure that we do more of the same, making sure that players understand that a call into the anti-corruption team isn't a negative. If they've got a query, there's no problem with them ringing and saying, I'm a little bit concerned about this or about that, because that might just be one gold nugget. Because if Callum Berrco was to ring up and say, I've got an issue because I've been approached by somebody, and this is who it was, and we get another player from another county saying exactly the same thing, we've got an inquiry, we've got an investigation, we've got a lead. And that's why it's so important that we continue with this approach. I don't see any other way of doing it apart from the education, awareness, guidance approach, because that is working, as long as players understand. And the relationship between the anti-corruption unit and players is stronger and better than ever, because they see each other at least once a year. And if players play in other tournaments, they'll see them twice a year, 3 times a year, because we give this briefing before every tournament. And so there is that liaison, that partnership, and that trust that's built up between the players and the anti-corruption team.
No, brilliant. Thanks so much for that, Martin. And I think that's a fantastic point to finish on the topic of choice for today, in anti-corruption. Just a couple of quick fire questions for you, as our viewers will be getting used to, if you don't mind.
Fire away.
Favourite ground?
Well, this is a difficult one for me, isn't it? Because I've got Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Warwickshire, and Northants under my wing as an ECB director, so it's going to be difficult. So I would say that my favourite test ground is Edgbaston, and my favourite non-test ground is Derbyshire, Leicestershire, and Northants.
Very diplomatic, well navigated. Favourite player?
Oh, I would say I would say Johnny Bairstow's up there, and I'll tell you why. I've just read Johnny Bairstow's book, which is phenomenal, and it's an excellent read. And the life story of Johnny Bairstow, if you read his biography, it's a tearjerker, but it's a fantastic journey that he's been through and dealt with all sorts of issues. So I would say Johnny Bairstow.
Like that, and I hope you get some commission as well from Johnny for plugging.
Oh yeah, well, who knows?
Favorite
might sell another book after this article.
What's favorite umpire?
Professionally,
yeah.
Oh, it's got to be Mr. Kettleborough, isn't it?
Like it.
Got to be. He's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's up there. He's up there. Looks the part. Is the part. And hasn't he won Umpire of the Year from the ICC a few years running?
I think so. I think certainly won it.
Yeah. I think he's
like that. What about
if an ECB director can have a favourite umpire, that is. I don't know if I'm allowed.
I'm sure people will be okay.
Okay.
Highest score
for me. God, when I was much younger, I did get 106. I was playing for a team called Potton in the Millman Trophy.
Like that. And
that was in 1983, I think it was.
And the best place you've been for cricket?
Well, that is without doubt a place called Salville Park Cricket Club, which is a very picturesque venue on the Whitbread estate in a place called Salville, just outside of Biggleswade. Go on the website, have a look at the pictures of the ground. It's phenomenal.
Like that. So, as our viewers will start to become getting used to, we always finish our segments with the same question for our specials. And so, Martin, really for you, what is your most important aspect or value of cricket to you?
The spirit of cricket, the way the game's played, the friendships you develop throughout your cricketing career. They're the most important things to me.
No, I like that. Martin, thank you so much for your time and for fitting me in your very busy schedule. And yeah, thank you.
Callum, thank you very much, and congratulations on your fine collection of caps.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Take care, Martin.
Cheers. Thank you.